These individuals in any organization, and I will say they are cancerous. Right after very many days that turned into a couple of months, we are back, we are live, and we are well, and we want to welcome you back to what was once the Let's Talk stuff, and now we want to upgrade it into a more refined, a more deep conversation. And here we will not leave any stone unturned, but we will go very open, very live on matters related to all persons and all people, all employees. And here we will call it the HR Uncensored. Now, human resource as a very fundamental department in any successful organization has its own side of dark moments, has its own side of failure, and at the same time it has its fair share of success. But today, out of experience, I want to bring to your attention about some of the incidences and some of the happenings that are happening, and they're not being mentioned, they're not being said. Everyone tries to keep them under the carpet, but on the HR Uncensored, we blow things out of proportion and speak them as it is. These individuals in any organization, and I will say they are cancerous, because their presence does not do any good to any successful organization or company. And these individuals start with their leaders. Now, there are some leaders who don't even deserve that title of being called a leader. There's some individuals who are in position of power, position of influence. They are key decision makers. But honestly speaking, they do not deserve even to be called leaders. On the contrary, they're nothing but a detriment to their organization. These are the leaders. If you do not agree with them, you become an enemy of the state, you become the enemy of the organization, you become their enemies. For me, it does not make any sense at all. Why? Because you may, for one reason or another, disagree on principles, disagree on opinions, disagree on ideas, but that does not necessarily make you an enemy to your leader or the so-called influential person in the organization or in the company. Now, this, if it is not put to check, if it is not looked into, it ends up becoming a very toxic culture in any organization. And for lack of better words, many of industrious, many of loyal, many of skilled workers or employees, they'll end up deserting that company because of such few but deadly and cancerous leaders who only believe in the yes sir. Everything they say, it's yes sir, yes ma'am, yes boss, yes manager, yes. Any employee, any worker who at any one point or the other will end up saying no, then they are treated as the enemy of state, and they become wanted, or they are put on the spotlight, or the sniper gun is on them, meaning this leader or this boss or this manager, whatever title you call them, they will not settle at anything less but to frustrate the so-called, no, sir, we can do it different. No, boss, I have a different opinion. No, ma'am. These people end up being frustrated. They end up being treated less equal than other employees for one very reason. They have the balls, they have the guts, they have the mindset that they can disagree in principle with any leader or any boss or any person on position of influence and share or speak their minds out. Now, if there are any kind of individuals who are frustrating employees, who are frustrating workers, who are frustrating staff simply because they have the position of influence and everything they say goes, then that kind of a person, we are putting you on the spotlight. Please note that everything you do to any employee, it becomes like a seed you're planting into the life of your employees so that either they perform towards what you have as an objective or you injure them and they end up performing less, not because of anything else, but because they are damaged, they are injured, their emotions and feelings have not been put into consideration in that company, and for this reason your employees feel they are not valued at all in their organization. So if there is that leader out there who thinks they own, they control the life of their employees simply because you can suppress their opinion, suppress their ideas, suppress their emotions and feelings, then you are bigly in a very, very wrong position. And in fact, you do not deserve to be where you are. On the contrary, you need to be taken to the school of experience to be taught that any person who works with you or any individual who works for you should be treated with respect and integrity, should be treated and promoted within the organization that they are working in for the value of what they add and the contribution of what they make to the success of your company. So, this episode of HR Uncensored, we are speaking to those individuals in position, whether you're a supervisor, whether you're a manager, whether you are a director, whether you're a general manager, whether you're an owner of a company, you need to treat your employees well. And if they disagree in principle, they're not your enemies. On the contrary, these are the individuals that you should keep in your organization so that they can help you to grow and nurture your industry or your business. So for that reason, I bring to you the HR Uncensored, and we will be putting to spotlight some of the characters, some of the habits, some of the behaviors that we can be able to monitor and see in the different industries and companies that we are working in that are detrimental, and they deserve to be put on the spotlight because, on the contrary, they are nothing but individuals who are cancerous to an organization, and they don't deserve to be where they are. On the next episode of HR Uncensored, I'll bring you a live experience of what exactly is happening to individuals in different companies across the world and how this can be handled, can be tackled, and if for any reason you are treated any less than what you are, if for any reason the environment that you are working in is so hostile and toxic that it cannot give you the liberty or the freedom to be who you are, then hard as it may be, it's time to think otherwise. Why? Because your health, your mental well-being, it's very, very important, more crucial, more fundamental than that toxic environment that you are exposed to 24/7 that will end up taking a toll on the very, very health that you are trying to protect and to safeguard. So, as difficult as it may be, sometimes if you are required to make that bold but tough decision of walking away from that toxic environment of toxic individuals, toxic leaders, toxic managers, toxic everything, hostile environment, if you have to, then there is no harm in making that bold, tough, and difficult choice or decision. Trust you me, it may sound tough and difficult, but the long run will be for your own good, for your own safety, for your own health, for your own well-being, because the number of hours you spend in a workplace are more than the hours you spend at home. So for that reason, stay healthy, stay safe, stay well, and welcome back to LTS Upgraded to HR Uncensored, where this time round we'll put to sport all those funny and crazy individuals within companies and organizations that do not add any value. On the contrary, they bring their industry, they bring their companies down by the fact that their behaviors, their culture, the way they treat other employees, workers, or staff is nothing, but inhuman, is nothing but a painstaking process where feelings of employees or individuals in a company are never considered. And at the end of the day, for me, everything trickles down to the feelings. How do you feel when you go to work? How do you feel when you are in that organization? How do you feel when you leave that place to go home? How do you feel when you are with your workers? How do you feel when you are with your managers or with your bosses or leaders, whatever name you want to call them? If you don't feel okay, if your feelings are completely crushed, remember, the way an employee is treated, the way a staff is treated, the way they feel within that work environment, that will contribute a lot to their output. Because if an employee doesn't feel anything, but they keep on looking at the clock, just waiting to see when they're going to leave and go home, that means they are on what we call the quit and stay. They quit the company long time ago. It's only the physical body that is there. But once they get that chance, trust you me, they will bolt out without a second thought. So, on this first edition of HR Uncensored, we are putting to sport all those yes sir leaders who don't want to hear anything else other than yes ma'am, yes boss, yes sir, yes, and anything contrary with a very reasonable no from any employee. You are on their spotlight. You become the wanted one. And so all efforts which we'll be sharing with you of what these crazy leaders and team leaders and supervisors and managers do to employees who stand out in their team, we'll share with you what they do to frustrate the efforts of these good individuals who have the best interest of the company at heart. And this we'll share with you in our subsequent episodes on HR Uncensored. People don't say it, but we will say it. These behaviors must stop. This culture must come to an end. Why? Because the people who end up suffering most are the employees, who majority will not even say anything, but they'll end up suffering and smiling because they will hold on to that job that they have because that's their only source of livelihood. But at the end of the day, they end up subjecting themselves into that state where they will be tossed left, right, and center like a ping pong ball. So they end up suffering and smiling. That's why they will always say yes to anything you tell them. But just know that yes does not necessarily mean they agree to everything that you tell them. So be safe, be kind. Welcome back to HR Uncensored, stronger and better, with very hard truth, very serious situations which we will unearth and put on the spotlights behaviors of individuals who they need to stop. And it's not an option. They need to stop. Why? Because we will put such characters on the light. Because it's time HR speaks exactly some of the things that are done, that are never spoken, and yet they have negative impact, serious repercussion, not only to the overall business environment, but to the well-being and the life of all the staff, all the employees that work for such organization. This is HR Uncensored, episode 1.